Broncos, Panthers. Go through what y'all need to know to make some money on this bitch. So let's do the picks real quick. We got Broncos 3-point underdog on the road, so standard line and over under set at 46. So I'm actually, I think the Broncos plus three is pretty bettable here. I'm not gonna make it one of like my strong bets or anything like that, but um, Broncos are looking pretty good in this game. And as far as the over under goes, I don't really like that number either way too much. I would actually lean the over like by a tiny bit. I don't really think it's worth betting on, but Broncos plus three, and stick around, I'll tell you how and why that's how it go down. So first we got the offense versus defense. Broncos offense versus the Panthers defense. So injury wise, big one on the Broncos. Starting guard Graham Glasgow, doubtful, probably gonna be out. He's good, and Austin Schlottman, who's gonna back him up, is not so good. But on the Broncos side of the ball, or on the Panthers side of the ball, there's a lot of things going on. They over their bye week that just happened. Actually, if you didn't keep up with it, had a ton of issues with COVID players, and they're still ongoing. So they just activated Derek Brown. They're really good rookie nose tackle, but Zach Kerr, their other starting defensive tackle, also good, but their depth is terrible, and he is on the COVID list as of we speak right now. So we'll see if he gets activated pregame. But actually, I'm going to go ahead and operate as if he won't because it's kind of already past that point. Um, and also, F.A. Abada, Yatir Gross Matos, Marquis Sains, all rotational edges questionable, and Russell Douglas starting corner questionable. So, offensive line versus defensive line, even without Graham Glasgow, the Broncos are going to be able to move people in this game. Their run blocking line is good consistently, has been through the whole year. Even, I mean, while they were close in both of the games they played against the Chiefs, they were able to run the ball, which is impressive. The Chiefs have a good front seven. There are multiple other games too where the Broncos like pretty consistently move the line of scrimmage, and that's going to be the case here. Derek Brown's really good. I think he's fantastic, but he is a one nose tackle, and their other D tackle spot without Zach Kerr is going to be pretty garbage. Bravion Roy, I'm guessing, is going to play the most there. He's like pretty actively bad. He's big, but he doesn't use his strength or size at all to meaningfully get in the way of anything. And on the edges, the Broncos tackles are like real good, especially now that they finally, I mean, it's been a while, but since the start of the year, DeMar Dodson should have been playing the whole time, and he's clearly good. And you're going to see that they're going to be able to move people. Brian Burns is not really a good edge run defender on the Panthers. Like every once in a while, he'll flash and make plays in the backfield, kind of similar to Carl Lawson on the Bengals is the closest comparison as a run defender. Problem with both of them, though, yeah, is on a snap-to-snap basis, they're going to get moved pretty notably. And as far as the other edge goes, the Panthers have players I like, but three of them are questionable. So, and even if they all play, none of them are really spectacular run defenders or anything even close to that. So you're going to see the Broncos offensive line is going to get a lot of traction in this game. And as far as the second level, Panthers linebackers are awful. Shaq Thompson really bad, gets out of position constantly. Tier Whitehead is probably the most equipped to deal with this game, and he's not very good. And Jeremy Chen, so I do like Jeremy Chen at this point, kind of as a a sideline to sideline cleanup linebacker, and he makes plays too. But in this game, I'm worried about him and Shaq Thompson. They're both undersized, and with the Broncos being able to actually like move the interior and get to the second level, I'm really worried that they're just going to get washed out consistently, and they're not going to be able to stand up head on to the Broncos run game. So then you talk about the overall run game. I think it's going to be pretty decent, maybe even better than that for the Broncos. I mean, like I said, they can run the ball against a whole lot better teams well. So then you talk about the pass game. Now there, I'm more worried about the Broncos. Pass rush first. Brian Burns could be an issue. Garrett Bowles, although he's been, obviously there's been a lot of buzz about him this year, and he has been good. He does still, and this is something through his whole career, does struggle with real outside speed rush, which Brian Burns is basically the definition of. And DeMar Dotson on the other side, like I said, is good, but he's not perfect. And I like F.A. Abada and Yatir Gross Matos for the Panthers as outside rushers. At least I think they're okay. So I don't expect the edges to be perfect, but I think they're mostly going to be okay. And on the interior, again, Derek Brown's good, but he's not an impactful pass rusher really. Um, so you're talking about decent time in the pocket. As far as the receivers go, Jerry Jeudy is going to significantly be better than whoever he lines up across from in this game. Dante Jackson finally healthy for the Panthers, which is not useful for them. He's terrible. And their other corner, Russell Douglas, definitely was playing better with the Panthers earlier this year than he was like last year in the Eagles, but he's nothing special like at all. And their slot corner, Corn Elders, played fine. Yeah, Corn Elder. Um, but Troy Pride has been like real bad too. And Rasul Douglas questionable. They're going to have at least two spots that are really exploitable. And Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler on the Broncos can do that. Two rookies who at this point in the season actually comfortable with the offense are both. I mean, they're both good. Listen, Jerry Jeudy has drop problems, and Drew Lock makes his stat lines look a whole lot worse than they should be. But he's going to be open a lot. And KJ Hamler too. I mean, he showed him to be pretty good. Tim Patrick, I'm not really a Tim Patrick fan. He's just a contested catch guy. But the thing about those guys is they're never useless, right? Because if they get matched up one-on-one, you can always throw them the ball, and that's the case here. I do want to mention though, Noah Fant, not a good receiving tight end as far as like getting open ever by himself. He needs schemes help, and he's actually going to be limited by Jeremy Chen and by Shaq Thompson. Although if he gets the ball in space, whatever he can create yardage after the catch certainly. So then you talk about the quarterback versus the defense. Drew Lock's bad, like real bad, and he's a ton of the time a reason why his offense fails. But he is kind of similar to someone like this is going to sound worse than I mean it to, but like Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, actually, I do think Drew Lock is better than him, but in the way that he can actually create points by taking bad chances, um, because it invites the defense to make mistakes, making plays on balls that they should have a chance at. Is I can explain it more deeply. I do in other videos, but baseline is Drew Lock is not incapable of creating points in good situations, which is the case here. And it's not like the Panthers do anything fancy defensively that I'm worried about. And there is some danger from Trey Boston as a deep safety, who's like a good standard center fielding free safety, but I'm not really scared of him. So yeah, the overall pass game I think is going to be pretty decent. I really think that Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler are going to be open constantly in this game, and there's not enough pass rush to make me worried about the floor of like Drew Lock being under pressure all the time or anything like that. So I have them in a point spread of 17-24. Broncos though super volatile in either direction, so that's more of a middle than like a middling guess than anything. As far as the Panthers offense goes, though, versus the Broncos defense, so injury-wise, nothing on the Broncos defense, and no Christian McCaffrey for the Panthers still. So offensive line versus defensive line, I'm pretty worried about the Panthers. I think their offensive line has performed pretty well, and still would. I mean, they still would perform well like this season if they played other teams, but given the Broncos have a ton of their guys back on the interior, their interior line is pretty good. Shelby Harris is like really good defensive tackle for the Broncos, and Draymond Jones, Marcus Walker, the other like three techs for the Broncos, are both legitimately good too, and get in the backfield a lot and hold up against the run. And the Panthers interior is not that good. Matt Paradis is a decent center. I like him. But John Miller and Chris Reed, their guards are like whatever. They can perform against kind of weaker fronts, but not the case here. On the edges, Panthers tackles are really good. But as run blockers, Taylor Moton and Russell Okung are just kind of there as run blockers. Moton's pretty good, especially if he gets out in the second level. But Broncos edge defenders are decent against the run. Bradley Chubb is he's certainly way better against the run than he is as a pass rusher, which is he's kind of developed into. He's pretty similar, I think, to actually like Cleveland Farrell on the Raiders at this point. People roast Cleveland Farrell all the time, but they're both like fourth and fifth overall respectively, and I think they're pretty damn close as players. Chubb is a better pass rusher, but and on the other edge, Malik Reed been pretty good this year. Outside linebacker for the Broncos, they rotate in Jeremiah Tausche too. And I don't think there's going to be a ton of control on the edges for the Panthers. Then the second level, Broncos linebackers are good to a point. Yeah, I'm not going to go that far. They can struggle with certain matchups, but that's not here. Um, Panthers don't do anything special as far as a run game goes, as far as a run scheme goes. And you're going to see that A.J. Johnson, especially middle linebacker for the Broncos, is going to be able to move around and get in the way and do things pretty notably in this game. And as far as the as far as the overall run game goes for the Panthers, I don't think it's going to be anything notably useful. It hasn't been for a while at this point, and nothing signals to me here that's going to change. Pass game, pass rush first. Nothing on nothing on the edges. Panthers tackles were infinitely better than the Broncos edge rushers, although they're not perfect, so there's always a chance a little bit. On the interior, though, I'm pretty worried. Shelby Harris, like I said, is like a borderline. He's a borderline elite penetrator, including as a pass rusher, and he's going to get in the backfield pretty consistently in this game, as well as Jeremiah Jones and Marcus Walker, good too. And versus the interior they're playing, they're good. Now you do run into this situation where I have to be careful not to overrate interior rushers that aren't Aaron Donald because their impact generally is just muted to a point. But here, I do think they're important for sure. As far as the receivers go, DJ Moore on the COVID list, which I didn't mention the injuries, but that's an important one. So you're talking about Robbie Anderson and Curtis Samuel and Fair Cooper. I actually think Fair Cooper's good. Versus a secondary that is real bad at the corner spot, but pretty good at the safety spot. So, yeah, Broncos, AJ Boye got suspended for the rest of the year. So you're talking about Michael Jamudia, struggling rookie for the Broncos, and Devontae Posby, I'm assuming, is going to start at the other corner spot, as well as Duke Dawson in the slot because Bryce Callahan is on IR, has been for a couple weeks. And that's definitely an advantage for the Panthers. Normally, I don't think a ton of the Panthers receivers as far as being able to separate quickly because they don't. But here, they're going to be able to. Now, it's not going to be incredible, but Robbie Anderson's going to be good in this game, and Curtis Samuel's going to be fine as a receiver. His ceiling as a receiver just isn't that high, but they're going to be decent. They do kind of run into an issue, though, without having DJ Moore of any given play. Yeah, their options just are kind of limited as a baseline. So the quarterback versus the defense, Teddy's good, pretty good. But you run into an issue here where he doesn't deal with interior pressure incredibly well, and that's kind of the advantage that he has of having the tackles be so good at pass blocking in this game is kind of mitigated by the fact that he doesn't hold the ball long enough to like push it downfield. And you're going to see that the places where his receivers have the advantage, right, which is theoretically should be near the line of scrimmage, they're just not that good at it. Robbie Anderson's like okay on like drag routes across the middle, which is going to work, but they're only going to get so open just as a baseline. So his throwing the ball quick consistently is just limited. And Vic Fangio, the Broncos, he's their head coach, but defensive coach is good. And so their overall pass game, I mean, it's going to be okay, but you're going to run into like series by series, you're going to run into like a chunk of plays where they just, as soon as there's an incompletion or a rush or two, they go for 1 yard. They're going to get into some issues, just moving the ball. So, yeah, and then even once they get into the red zone, Teddy's not good in the red zone, hasn't been at all for most of the season outside of, interestingly, some like the Chiefs game would be an example, so specific games. But here, I mean, there's just no reason to really expect them to be good in the red zone. Curtis Samuel has shown that he can actually help turn drives to touchdowns, but he's pretty much the only one that's like a positive in that area. So I have them at a point spread of 13-20. So, yeah, I do feel pretty good about the Broncos getting points, but you're betting on Drew Lock if you do that. Drew Lock's not good, so be careful. I mean, that's not why you're doing it, right? You're doing it because of the defense and because of the Broncos, and because of the bad Panthers defense, but be careful with it. But I actually do think it's pretty bettable. Broncos +3.